Excuse me, can I sit here? A little white girl, 8 years old, soaking wet, right leg, a silver prosthetic. The wealthy woman in Gucci sneered, "Sit with us? This isn't a homeless shelter. You're dripping on my bag. Get lost, cripple." Second table, a businessman. "Where are your parents? They probably dumped you because you're broken." He laughed at her leg. Third table, college girls pulled out phones recording. "Look at this poor, broken thing, so pathetic!" Laughter everywhere. Rich white customers filled every seat. No one helped. Then she saw him. A black man, sitting alone at a small table in the back corner, the only spot no white customer wanted. Her last hope. "Excuse me, sir. Can I sit here?" What this black single dad said next would make everyone cry. And those who laughed, minutes away from the most humiliating moment of their lives. But to understand why this black man's answer was so powerful, you need to know who he was and what he carried with him every single day. 5:30 a.m. That same morning, Harold Griffin woke up before sunrise, like he did every day for the past 3 years. He lay still for exactly 3 seconds, just staring at the photo on his nightstand. Monique, his wife. In the picture, she was laughing, holding their son Jalen when he was 5. Sunlight glowing through her hair like a halo. "Good morning, baby," Harold whispered. "Today's a new day. I'll keep trying." 3 years. 3 years since cancer took Monique away. 3 years of learning how to breathe when his chest ached. 3 years of learning how to smile when he wanted to cry. But Harold didn't have time to drown in grief. He had Jalen. Harold pushed open his son's bedroom door. Jalen Griffin, 10 years old, fast asleep, arms wrapped around an old cookbook, Junior Chef Academy, recipes for young dreams. The spine was cracked from being read too many times. On the wall above Jalen's bed, crayon drawings, a restaurant called Jalen's Kitchen. Harold sitting at the VIP table with a huge smile, a tower of food in front of him. Harold smiled. Then his face tightened. The after-school cooking program. $400 a month. He was 2 weeks late this month. The program director had called 3 times. Harold deleted the voicemails without listening. He already knew what they said. And the field trip to the Culinary Institute next week. $75. Jalen had talked about nothing else for a month. $75. A small amount for some people. An impossible mountain for Harold. He bent down and kissed his son's forehead. "Sleep tight, little chef. Daddy will figure it out. Daddy always figures it out." 6:00 a.m. Harold walked 15 minutes to work, saving gas money. His cafe, Harold's Corner Brew, sat on the corner of downtown Millbrook, Pennsylvania. Millbrook used to be a steel town. Factories, workers, life. Now, the factories closed 10 years ago. Stores shut down. For lease signs everywhere. More closed doors than open ones. Harold's Cafe was one of the few places still shining. Inside wasn't fancy. An old espresso machine that groaned like an old man complaining. Walls covered with drawings from local kids. A small chalkboard that read, "Today's special, Hope, served warm, $2.50 each." On the counter, a painted ladybug rock that Jalen made, sitting on top of a stack of unpaid bills. Harold didn't look at the bills. Rent 2 months late, electricity, water, insurance. But he still turned on the soft jazz music. Still wiped every table clean. Still arranged the chairs perfectly. Because this wasn't just a cafe. This was home. 7:30 a.m. The regulars arrived. Mrs. Patterson, 82 years old. Same seat by the window for 15 years. Ordering decaf. Reading yesterday's newspaper because today's cost 50 cents more. Her husband died last spring, 54 years together. Now she came to the cafe every morning because her house was too quiet. Harold never charged her for coffee. She didn't know. Tommy Wilson, 35 years old, construction worker, unemployed for 8 months. Sitting in the corner for 3 hours with one black coffee, filling out job applications on his phone. Last week he told Harold, "My wife's gonna leave me. She says I'm useless." Harold didn't know what to say. He just poured Tommy free refills. Keisha Davis, 28 years old, single mom, 4-year-old twins, Maya and Marcus. Ordering one muffin, splitting it between her 2 kids. She just lost her food stamps because of paperwork errors. Waiting for her appeal. Didn't know how she'd feed her kids next week. Harold accidentally made extra sandwiches every day. Accidentally gave them to the kids. At Harold's Corner Brew, there was an unspoken rule. Nobody gets kicked out for not having money. When customers were short $1, Harold waved it off. "Pay me later." When later never came, Harold never mentioned it. He kept a small notebook, not to collect debts, but to remember, to know who was struggling, to know who needed help. 10 o'clock a.m. The phone rang. Caller ID, Millbrook Elementary. Harold took a deep breath. "Mr. Griffin? This is Ms. Rodriguez, Jalen's teacher." "Yes, Ms. Rodriguez." "The field trip to the Culinary Institute next week. Jalen is the only student who hasn't submitted permission slip and deposit, $75. Deadline is Monday." Silence. "Jalen is so excited about this trip. He's been talking about it all month. I'd hate for him to stay behind while his classmates go." "I understand, Ms. Rodriguez. I'll figure it out." "Thank you, Mr. Griffin. Jalen is a wonderful student. He deserves to go." Harold hung up, stared at the painted ladybug rock on the counter. $75. He didn't have it, but he would figure it out. He always did. 11 o'clock a.m. Mrs. Patterson shuffled to the counter, voice low, secretive. "Harold, someone was asking about you yesterday." "Who, Mrs. Patterson?" "A woman. Older, but very elegant. Silver hair, expensive clothes, not from around here. Big city stuff." "What did she ask?" "How long you've had this cafe, how your son is doing, how your wife passed." Mrs. Patterson frowned. "She knew a lot about you, Harold. More than a stranger should." Harold felt uneasy. "Who was she?" "She just said she cares about people who do good in the community." Then she left. "Probably from some charity organization." "Maybe." Mrs. Patterson hesitated. But her eyes, like she was searching for something. Or someone. Harold shrugged it off. He had no idea that woman had been watching him for 6 months. That afternoon, the storm arrived, and brought a little girl who would change everything. 2:30 p.m. The sky turned black in 15 minutes. Gray to dark gray to pitch black. Wind came out of nowhere. Trash flying down the street. Store signs swinging wildly. Then the rain. Not falling. Pouring. Like someone dumped the entire ocean onto this small town. Thunder booming. Lightning flashing. Lights inside the cafe flickering. People ran into any building with a roof. Harold's Corner Brew, usually quiet, was suddenly packed. Every table full, extra chairs taken, people standing in corners. But Harold noticed something. The customers weren't his regulars. These were wealthy folks from the nice part of town. Designer clothes, expensive watches, the kind of people who never stepped foot in his cafe. They came only because of the storm, looking around with disgust, like they were trapped in the wrong neighborhood. Harold stayed busy, making coffee, serving, cleaning, the espresso machine groaning non-stop. Through the foggy window, he glimpsed a black SUV parked across the street. Expensive, out of place among the old cars of Millbrook. He didn't pay much attention, too much work to do. 2:45 p.m. The cafe door swung open. Wind and rain rushed in. Everyone turned to look. A little girl stood in the doorway, about 8 years old, blonde hair soaking wet, plastered to her face and neck. Yellow raincoat, now dark with water, too thin for this storm. Backpack drenched. But what made everyone stare was her leg. Her right leg, from the knee down, was a prosthetic. Silver, high-tech, expensive-looking, with a small logo engraved at the ankle, 2 letters intertwined. The girl stood there, shivering, water pooling around her feet. Her eyes scanned the cafe, searching, not a single empty seat. The girl took a deep breath, pushed wet hair from her face, tightened her grip on her backpack straps. Then she started walking. Table 1, a wealthy couple in their 20s. The girl stopped, voice small, polite. "Excuse me, can I sit here, just until the rain stops?" The woman looked her up and down, from face to prosthetic leg to face again. She pulled her Gucci purse closer. "Sit with us? This isn't a homeless shelter. You're dripping all over my bag. Get lost, cripple." The girl just nodded. "Okay, thank you." She walked away, shoulders slumping slightly. Table 2, a businessman in an expensive suit. "Excuse me, can I—" The man didn't let her finish, didn't even look up from his phone. "Where are your parents, kid?" "Oh, wait, let me guess. They probably dumped you because you're—" He gestured at her leg. "Broken." He laughed, loud, cruel. The girl stood frozen for a moment, then turned away, shoulders slumping more. Table 3. College students, 4 of them. One girl taking selfies. "Excuse me, can I please—" The selfie girl cut her off, didn't even glance up. Full, no room. There was an empty chair right next to her, backpack sitting on it, could easily be moved. The girl saw it. The college girl knew she saw it, but she didn't move. Another student pulled out his phone, pointed it at the little girl. "Look at this poor broken thing, so pathetic." Laughter. More phones came out, recording. The whole cafe watched. No one stood up. No one said a word. Some customers moved their bags closer, like they were afraid she might steal something. 3 rejections. The girl stood in the middle of the cafe, looking around. No more tables to try. Every seat taken. Every face turned away. Or worse, turned toward her with disgust. Her shoulders trembled. Not from cold, from holding back tears. She was used to this. Ever since losing her leg, she'd learned adults looked at her differently now. They either stared at her prosthetic, like it was something strange, or they avoided looking, pretending she didn't exist. Both hurt. She squeezed her backpack straps, fingernails digging into her palms. Pain, but easier than the pain in her chest. "I'll go outside," she told herself. "I'll wait under the awning. Wait for Grandma. I'll be fine." She turned toward the door. Then she saw him, a black man, sitting alone at a small table in the back corner. The corner no white customer wanted. The spot closest to the kitchen, the table with the wobbly leg. He was middle-aged, wearing a worn apron, hands rough from work. But his eyes were different. Not avoiding her, not disgusted, not pitying. He was looking straight at her, and in his eyes was something warm. The girl stopped. 3 rejections. She didn't want a 4th. But those eyes. She took one more deep breath. The last one. Walked to his table. Stood in front of him. Voice trembling. From cold. From fear. from too much rejection. "Excuse me, sir. Can I sit here?" What Harold said next was only 12 words. But those 12 words changed everything. Harold looked down at the little girl, tiny, soaking wet, silver prosthetic gleaming under the yellow cafe lights, eyes red but not crying, because she'd learned not to cry in front of strangers. He saw how her shoulders hunched, preparing for another no. He saw how her fingers gripped her backpack straps, knuckles white from squeezing too hard. He saw how her lips pressed together, fighting to stay calm, fighting not to tremble. And Harold saw himself, 10 years old, orphaned, standing at a relative's door asking for a place to stay. Rejected. "We don't have room." Another door, another rejection. "We can't afford it." Again and again. He saw Jalen, his son's eyes when he came home after being bullied. Kid with no mom. The way Jalen forced a smile so Daddy wouldn't worry. The way Jalen cried in his sleep thinking Daddy couldn't hear. He saw himself. Every time he applied for a bank loan and got rejected for bad credit score. Every time he asked his landlord for more time and received looks of contempt. This little girl didn't just need a seat. She needed someone to say yes. Harold put down the cup he was holding. He looked at her. She looked back. 1 second of silence. 2 seconds. The girl started to hunch her shoulders, bracing for rejection. Then Harold smiled. Not a polite smile. Not a pity smile. The warmest smile he had. The smile he only gave to Jalen. The smile he used to give Monique. "Sit here? No way." The girl's eyes went dark. Another rejection. "You need to sit in the best seat in the house." The girl stood frozen. Didn't understand. Couldn't believe her ears. What did you say?" Harold stepped out from his table, knelt down, so his eyes were level with hers. "I said, this seat isn't good enough for you. You deserve the best. Come with me." He stood up, extended his hand, large, calloused, coffee stains on the fingers. "I have a table by the fireplace, warmest spot in the cafe, and I have hot chocolate with a marshmallow smiley face. Do you like chocolate?" The girl looked at Harold's hand, looked up at his face, looked back at his hand. Her lips trembled. Then, she placed her tiny hand into his large one, and she smiled. Not the polite smile she used after each rejection. A real smile. The smile of a child who just received the most unexpected gift in the world. A smile with tears streaming down. Tears of happiness. Tears of relief. Yes. I like chocolate." Everything froze. The whole cafe went silent. Every conversation stopped. Every eye turned toward Harold and the little girl, 2 hands holding each other, one large and one small, one black and one white. Mrs. Patterson. Her newspaper dropped to the table. She didn't pick it up, eyes wet. She grabbed a napkin, wiped and wiped again, but tears kept coming. 82 years on this earth. She'd seen many things, but this she would remember until her final day. Tommy Wilson. The unemployed man turned his face to the wall. His shoulders shook. He was crying, for the first time since losing his job 8 months ago. He thought about his own son, also 8 years old, also bullied because your dad doesn't have a job. He thought, I'm going home to hug my boy. I'm going to tell him he deserves the best. Keisha Davis. The single mom pulled her twins closer, tears streaming down her cheeks. She didn't wipe them. Maya, 4 years old, looked up. Mommy, why are you crying? Because I'm happy, baby. Because there are still good people in this world. The wealthy couple at table 1, the man hung his head, couldn't look at anyone. The woman stared at her Gucci bag, face burning red. They knew what they'd done. They knew what they'd said to that little girl. And they knew they would remember this moment every time they looked in a mirror. The college girl at table 3. For the first time, she looked up from her phone, eyes red. She looked at the empty chair beside her, the one with her backpack on it, the one she said was full. Slowly, she moved the backpack down, put it on the floor. Too late. But she did it anyway. The businessman at table 2, he stood up abruptly, threw money on the table, more than his coffee cost, walked quickly toward the door. He couldn't stay, couldn't face anyone, couldn't bear the shame. They probably dumped you because you're broken. His own words echoed in his head like a verdict. A small table near the window. Eleanor Harrington had been sitting there the whole time, 75 years old, silver hair in an elegant bun, simple clothes but perfectly tailored, the kind of simple that only rich people could afford. The tea in front of her had gone cold long ago. She hadn't touched it. She had been watching, the entire afternoon, watching her granddaughter get rejected, again and again, watching how each person reacted, who turned away, who lied, who didn't even bother looking, and watching the black man at the back table, the man she had been tracking for 6 months. Now she watched him step forward, kneel down, extend his hand. You deserve the best. Eleanor's hand trembled. Her eyes glistened. 10 years she had searched. 10 years traveling to small towns, cafes, poor neighborhoods. 10 years conducting hundreds of tests, sending people to ask for help, observing reactions, recording results. 10 years looking for one simple thing: genuine kindness. Not kindness for cameras, not kindness for rewards, not kindness for praise. Kindness because it was who they were, because they couldn't do otherwise. Today, for the first time in 10 years, she found it. She opened her small leather notebook, wrote 2 words, hand still shaking. Found him. Harold led Lily through the cafe. Everyone watched. No one spoke. Only the sound of rain and footsteps, one large, one small. He led her to the small table by the fireplace. His table. The table he used for paperwork when the cafe was empty. The table where he read books during breaks. The table where he kept a small photo of Monique leaning against a flower vase. The warmest spot in the cafe, right next to the old but still working fireplace. The best table in the cafe. And Harold just gave it to a stranger. He pulled out the chair. Your throne, princess. Lily giggled. I'm not a princess. Today you are, the princess of Harold's Corner Brew. Sit down. I'll go make your chocolate. The girl sat down, touched the wooden table, looked at the fireplace, looked at the small photo of a beautiful black woman leaning against the vase. For the first time since entering the cafe, her shoulders relaxed. Harold stood behind the counter, making chocolate. He followed Monique's recipe. Extra cocoa powder. Don't be stingy. Chocolate needs to be rich. A touch of vanilla. Mom's secret. Don't tell anyone. Warm milk, just right. Not too hot, not cold, just perfect. Then the final step, marshmallows. Harold stopped. His hand hovered over the jar of mini marshmallows. 3 years. He hadn't done this step for 3 years. This was Monique's thing. She made it for Jalen every winter night, arranging marshmallows into a smiley face, 2 eyes, 1 curved mouth. Jalen called it Mr. Marshmallow. After Monique died, Harold couldn't look at marshmallow smiley faces without breaking. So he stopped. 3 years, not once. But today, he thought about the little girl sitting by the fireplace. Lost her mom, lost her dad, lost a leg. Got rejected 3 times in 10 minutes, and still tried to smile politely after each one. That little girl deserved a smiley face. Harold picked up the marshmallows, arranged them carefully. 2 eyes, 1 curved mouth. "This one's for you, Monique," he thought. "You would have liked this kid. She's strong, like you." Harold brought the chocolate to the table, placed it in front of Lily. The girl looked down. Her eyes went wide. There's a smiley face in the chocolate." "That's Mr. Marshmallow. His job is to make sure you smile at least once today." Lily stared at the marshmallow smiley face, then at Harold, then back at the smiley face. Her lips trembled. Then she cried. Harold panicked. "What's wrong? Is the chocolate bad? I can make another." "No!" Lily shook her head hard, laughing through tears. "It's delicious. She took a deep breath, trying to speak clearly. "It's been so long since anyone told me I deserve the best. Since anyone made a smiley face for me." She looked down at the chocolate. "My mom used to make them, smiley faces just like this. Before." She didn't finish the sentence. Didn't need to. Harold understood. He pulled up a chair, sat down beside her. "My name's Harold. What's yours?" "Lily. Lily Harrington." "Drink your chocolate, Lily. Then tell me your story. I'm listening." Lily sipped her chocolate. Marshmallow foam stuck to her upper lip. She didn't wipe it, like she wanted to keep it as long as possible. "Where's your grandma, Lily?" "We got separated when the rain started. We were walking downtown and suddenly it poured. Grandma told me to run into the nearest shop and she'd find me." "Smart Grandma. She'll find you." Silence. Lily looked down at her prosthetic leg, adjusted it slightly. An unconscious habit. Harold didn't ignore it. Didn't stare either. "Cool leg you got there. Looks like something from a superhero movie." Lily looked surprised. You really think so?" "Absolutely. Iron Man has his armor. You have your silver leg. Pretty awesome if you ask me." Lily smiled softly. Then her face fell. "I lost it in a car accident 2 years ago." Harold nodded, waited, didn't push. "My mom and dad," Lily swallowed hard. "They died in the same accident." Silence. Heavy. Harold didn't say, "I'm sorry." That phrase meant nothing, he knew. Didn't say, "It'll be okay." That was a lie, he also knew. He just said, "I understand." Lily looked up, surprised. "I lost someone too. My wife, Monique, 3 years ago." "Was it an accident?" "No. Sickness. Cancer." Harold paused. "But the pain is the same. Losing someone you love, no matter how, hurts the same." Lily nodded slowly, eyes brightening. For the first time, someone understood, not pitied. Understood. "Do you still miss her?" "Every day. Every morning I wake up, I look at her photo and say, 'Good morning.' Every night before bed I say, 'Good night.'" "Does it hurt less now?" Harold thought for a moment, a question he'd asked himself 1,000 times. "The hurt doesn't go away, but it changes. You know how trees grow around fences?" Lily shook her head. "Sometimes a tree grows right next to a fence. The fence never disappears. It stays there, forever. But the tree keeps growing, growing, wrapping around it. Eventually, the fence becomes part of the tree. Pain is like that. It doesn't vanish, but you grow around it. And one day it becomes part of you, not to hurt you, but to remind you that you loved." Lily went quiet, thinking. I like that. The tree and the fence. My wife taught me that. She was very smart. Did she make chocolate smiley faces too? Harold laughed. A laugh with some pain, but also some joy. She invented chocolate smiley faces. I just learned from her. Lily looked at her cup, at the marshmallow smiley face. So Mr. Marshmallow is hers? Yeah, and now he's yours too. 4:30 p.m. The cafe door opened. A boy ran in, 10 years old, blue raincoat, school backpack. Dad! The bus came early because of the storm. Jalen stopped, saw the girl sitting at Dad's table. The table by the fireplace, the table with Mom's photo, the table Dad never let anyone sit at. Dad? Harold waved. Jalen, come here. This is Lily. Lily, this is Jalen, my son. Jalen walked closer, looked at Lily, looked at the chocolate with the smiley face, the smiley face. Dad hadn't made since Mom died. Then he looked at Lily's prosthetic leg. Does that leg have Bluetooth? Lily blinked. What? Bluetooth. Like, can you connect your phone and play music? If I had one of those, I'd install speakers. Music everywhere I go. Lily laughed, nearly choking on her chocolate. No, it's a leg, not a phone. That's such a waste, Jalen said seriously. I'll design a speaker leg for you. I love designing stuff. Hold on, let me get paper. He ran off to find paper. Lily watched him, eyes bright. Mr. Harold, your brother is so funny. Not my brother, my son. Son? Lily's eyes widened. But he's 10, but thinks he's 30. Jalen came back with paper and pencils, sat down next to Lily. Okay, what music do you want your leg to play? Pop? Hip-hop? Classical? Classical? You listen to classical? No, but having options makes it cooler. The two kids started designing a robot speaker leg. Laughter filled the cafe. Harold sat there, watching. His son, for the first time since Monique died, talking to someone his age without fear of being mocked. And Lily, the orphan girl with one leg, for the first time had a friend who didn't look at her like a poor broken thing. This is what Monique always wanted, Harold thought. A place where everyone is welcome, where nobody gets left behind. In the corner, Eleanor stood up. She had seen enough. She pulled out her phone, texted someone. Confirmed. He's the one we've been looking for. Prepare phase 2. When Lily's grandmother appeared, she brought one final test, and Harold passed it without even knowing. 5:00 p.m. The rain had stopped. Evening sun broke through the clouds, streaming through the cafe windows. Eleanor rose from the corner table, walked toward the fireplace. Lily? The girl turned around, face lighting up. Grandma! Lily jumped off her chair and ran to Eleanor. Eleanor hugged her tight, but her eyes looked over Lily's shoulder, fixed on Harold. Are you okay, sweetheart? Grandma was so worried. I'm fine, Grandma. Mr. Harold took care of me. He gave me the best seat in the cafe, and chocolate with a smiley face. And this is Jalen. He's designing a speaker leg for me. Eleanor smiled gently at her granddaughter. Then she walked toward Harold. She stood before him, looked him straight in the eyes. Thank you. Thank you for taking care of my granddaughter. Harold stood up awkwardly. It was nothing, ma'am. Lily's a good kid. She was very sweet. Eleanor opened her purse. An expensive leather purse. No logo, no need to show off brands, but one look told you it cost thousands. Inside, cash and credit cards. She pulled out a $100 bill. Please let me pay for the chocolate, and... She extended the bill toward Harold. A little something for your kindness. Harold looked at the money. $100. Enough to pay for Jalen's field trip, with change left over. Enough to buy groceries for the whole week. Enough to pay part of the electricity bill he owed. He wanted to take it. His body wanted it. His hand wanted to reach out. But he shook his head. "Ma'am, my chocolate is good, but it's not worth $100. Eleanor raised an eyebrow. "This isn't payment for chocolate. It's a thank you for—" "Kindness isn't for sale, ma'am." Silence. Eleanor stared at Harold, eyes sharp, evaluating, calculating. "You really don't want it?" "I really don't need it." Harold smiled. "Lily already gave me something worth more than $100. She reminded me that good people still exist in this world. That's enough." Eleanor went quiet for a long moment. Her eyes glistened. 10 years of searching, hundreds of tests, thousands of people. And this, the first time someone refused her money. Not out of pride, not pretending, but because he truly believed kindness didn't need a price tag. "You're a rare man, Mr. Griffin." "I'm just an ordinary person trying to do the right thing, ma'am." Lily tugged Eleanor's hand. "Grandma, I want to give Mr. Harold something. Can I?" "Give what, sweetheart?" Lily opened her backpack, still damp, and dug around, pulled out a keychain, silver, shaped like a coffee cup, with 2 letters engraved, HH. "This is my lucky keychain. I got it from your office, Grandma. I want to give it to Mr. Harold because he's my lucky friend." Harold took the keychain, turned it over in his hand. "What's HH, Lily?" "Harrington Hope, the name of Grandma's charity." Harold looked at the logo, then down at Lily's prosthetic, the same logo. "Jalen, Dad, that logo is exactly like the one on Lily's leg." Eleanor nodded. "We manufacture prosthetics for children. Lily uses one of our products." "Your charity," Harold murmured. "It's big?" Eleanor smiled. A smile with a secret. "Big enough to help many people." She took Lily's hand, prepared to leave. "We'll meet again, Mr. Griffin, I'm certain of it." At the door, Lily turned and waved. "Goodbye, Mr. Harold. Goodbye, Jalen. I'll miss Mr. Marshmallow." The black SUV was waiting outside. Eleanor and Lily stepped in. The car drove away, disappeared into the evening light. Harold stood there, holding the HH keychain. He had no idea that the woman who just left could buy this entire town, and that she had been searching for him for 6 months. When Harold discovered who that old woman really was, he nearly dropped the coffee pot. The moment the SUV disappeared, the cafe exploded with whispers. Mrs. Patterson rushed to the counter as fast as her 82-year-old legs could carry her. "Harold, do you know who that was?" "Some rich grandmother. Runs a charity or something." "Rich?" Mrs. Patterson laughed loudly, a rare sound. "Son, that was Eleanor Harrington." Harold frowned. "Harrington." Tommy Wilson jumped in from the corner. "You don't watch the news? Harrington Foundation, one of the biggest charities in the Northeast, building hospitals, schools, donating millions every year." "And she," Mrs. Patterson emphasized, pointing toward the door, "is a billionaire, net worth at least $4 billion. Harold stood there, speechless. "And you just refused her $100. Tommy shook his head, half admiring, half disbelieving. "Because kindness isn't for sale. Man, you're either the best person I know or the craziest." Harold looked at the HH keychain in his hand. I didn't know." Keisha Davis from the corner table. "Harold, you just refused money from a billionaire, gave her granddaughter the best seat, made chocolate smiley faces." She shook her head. "You're the best person I've ever met. Or the most insane. Maybe both." 11:00 p.m. That night, Jalen was asleep. Harold sat in the kitchen, staring at the pile of bills. $75 for the field trip. Still nothing. Rent, electricity, water. He sighed. His phone buzzed. Text message from an unknown number. Mr. Griffin, thank you for this afternoon. You gave my granddaughter something money can't buy. The feeling of being welcomed and worthy. I'd like to meet you to discuss an opportunity. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. at your cafe. If you agree, please reply yes. Eleanor Harrington. Harold read it again and again. A billionaire. Wanted to meet him. Opportunity. He looked at the bills, looked back at the message. He typed, yes. Then he sat there, staring at the phone screen. He couldn't sleep that night. But for the first time in a long while, it was because of hope, not worry. He had no idea that tomorrow's meeting wouldn't just change his life. It would reveal a secret about his late wife that he never knew. Eleanor Harrington didn't come just to say thank you. She came with an offer, and a truth that would make Harold cry. 9 o'clock a.m., Sunday morning. The cafe was quiet, like every Sunday. Harold stood behind the counter, wiping the same cup over and over, nervous. At exactly 9 o'clock, the black SUV parked out front. Eleanor walked in. No Lily this time, just her and a young man in a suit carrying a leather briefcase. Good morning, Mr. Griffin. Thank you for agreeing to meet. Mrs. Harrington, I still don't understand why you want to meet with me. Eleanor sat down at the table by the fireplace, where Lily sat yesterday. Because you are the person I've been searching for the past 10 years. Eleanor began her story. 10 years ago, I lost my husband. He built Harrington Industries from nothing. When he died, I had everything. Money, power, reputation. But I had no purpose. I started Harrington Foundation, funding hospitals, schools, prosthetic programs. But all of it was from far away. I signed checks, employees did the rest. I never touched the lives of the people we helped. Then 2 years ago, my son and daughter-in-law died in a car accident. Lily lost her parents, lost a leg. She was only 6. Eleanor paused, eyes distant. After the accident, I took Lily to therapy. Doctors said she had PTSD. She didn't trust anyone, wouldn't talk to anyone. She thought she'd been abandoned because her parents left her. My money couldn't help. The best doctors couldn't help. What she needed was people, real people, genuine care, true kindness. So I started searching. I traveled to small towns everywhere, looking for people who did good without cameras, without rewards, people who were kind because it was their nature. 6 months ago, I heard about you. A cafe owner in Millbrook, never charged poor customers, volunteered to coach kids basketball, raised his son alone after his wife died. I watched you, researched you, waited for the right moment. Yesterday, when Lily walked into your cafe, that was the test. Harold's eyes widened. Test? I deliberately let Lily go in alone to see what you and others would do when a disabled child, soaking wet, needed help. I saw others reject her. I saw you step forward. I heard you say, you deserve the best seat. In 10 years of searching, you were the first person to say that. Eleanor signaled to the man in the suit. He opened the briefcase, pulled out documents. Harrington Foundation wants to build a community center in Millbrook. She opened the documents, architectural blueprints, financial plans, program lists. A free prosthetic clinic for children, small business support programs, skills training classes, a community cafe. Total investment, $15 million. We need a local person to run it, someone who understands the community, someone the community trusts. I want that person to be you, Mr. Griffin. Harold couldn't speak. Salary, $85,000 per year, full insurance, housing assistance, and... Eleanor smiled. A free cooking program for kids. Jalen can be the first teaching assistant. Full scholarship for him through college. Harold still couldn't process it all. I don't understand. Why Millbrook? Why me? There are thousands of good people out there. Because there's one more thing. Eleanor's voice caught. She pulled a photograph from the briefcase. Do you recognize this person? Harold looked at the photo. His heart stopped. It was Monique, his wife, in a photo from years ago, handing out food to homeless people, wearing a white t-shirt with a logo, Harrington Hope. Your wife, Monique Griffin, was a volunteer with our foundation. Harold held the photo, his hands shaking. I didn't know this. 8 years ago, before she passed, she volunteered every weekend for 2 years, serving food, teaching kids to read, helping the homeless. Eleanor pulled out another paper, an old document, yellowed with age. This is the program manager's evaluation of her. She read, Monique Griffin is the best volunteer I've ever seen. She didn't just help people, she made them feel worthy. She said her goal was to spread kindness everywhere, because kindness is the only thing that multiplies when you give it away. Tears streamed down Harold's face. She never told me. Maybe she didn't have time. Maybe she wanted to keep it private. Many volunteers don't like to show off. But she did it. And she did it beautifully. Eleanor took Harold's hand. When I researched you, I discovered this connection. Your wife once worked for me, and now you're continuing exactly what she started. This isn't coincidence, Mr. Griffin. This is a sign. Monique led me to you. This community center, Eleanor said, voice thick with emotion. I want to name it the Monique Griffin Community Center. Harold cried, not sad crying, not grieving, crying from too many emotions at once. Surprise, touched, proud, missing her, grateful, and above all, the feeling that Monique was still here, still helping people, still guiding him. To honor her, Eleanor continued, and to continue the legacy she started. She wanted to spread kindness everywhere. This center will do that. Forever. Harold looked at Monique's photo. You see, baby, he whispered, as if she were sitting beside him. You're still helping people. You're still here. You're still showing me the way. In that small cafe, Harold Griffin realized something. He was never alone. Monique was still with him. Through the good she left behind, through the lives she touched, through the legacy she built that he never knew about. Sunday afternoon, living room. Harold sat with Jalen on their old sofa. Son, I need to talk to you about something important. Jalen looked worried. What is it, Dad? Do we have to move? Did you lose your job? No. Harold chuckled softly. It's good news. Very good. He told Jalen everything. About Eleanor, about Harrington Foundation, about the offer to run a community center, about the salary, the scholarship, and about Monique's photo. Your mom used to volunteer for their foundation 8 years ago. For 2 years. Jalen went silent, eyes wide. Mom did charity work and you didn't know? She never told me. Maybe she wanted to keep it a secret. Maybe she thought she didn't need to show off. Why didn't she tell you? Harold thought for a moment. Maybe because Mom didn't do it to be praised. She did it because that's who she was, helping others without needing anyone to know. Jalen nodded slowly, then smiled. You're the same, Dad. You help everyone at the cafe and never ask for anything back. You don't show off. You just do it. You think so? I know so. Jalen looked at his father. You're just like Mom. A lot like her. Silence. So, do you think I should say yes? Jalen didn't hesitate. Mom would want you to say yes, because she started it, and you'll continue. It's like a relay race. Mom ran first, you run next. Harold hugged his son, tight. When did you get so smart? I learned from you, Dad. Monday morning. Harold called Eleanor. Mrs. Harrington, I've decided. And? I accept. Silence on the phone. Then Eleanor's voice, trembling slightly. Thank you, Harold. You won't regret this. I'm not doing it for money, ma'am. I'm doing it because it's what Monique would want. She started it. I'll continue. 2 weeks later, community meeting. Town Hall of Millbrook. Thursday evening, 200 people showed up. Nearly the whole town. Standing room only. Eleanor stood on stage presenting the plan. A community center, free prosthetic clinic, small business support program, skills classes for kids and adults, a community cafe. Total investment $15 million, completely free for Millbrook residents. Whispers, gasps. And the person who will run it all, Eleanor said, is the man who gave my granddaughter a seat when the whole world turned away. The man who taught me that kindness still exists. Harold Griffin. Harold walked onto the stage, legs slightly shaky, 200 pairs of eyes on him. I'm not good at speeches. Light laughter in the hall. But I know one thing. He looked down, Jalen in the front row, next to Lily and Eleanor. Everyone here, all of you, deserves to be cared for. I know this town is struggling. The factory closed. Jobs disappeared. Many people want to leave, I understand. I've thought about it too. But Millbrook isn't dead. Millbrook is alive. In people like Mrs. Patterson, like Tommy, like Keisha. In people who still come to my cafe every morning, even when they can't afford coffee. In people who still greet their neighbors, still help each other. This center, named after my wife, Monique, will be proof that Millbrook matters, that we matter. He paused, looked at Jalen. My wife used to say, kindness is the only thing that multiplies when you give it away. She started giving 8 years ago. Today, I continue. And I hope you'll continue with me. Mrs. Patterson stood up first, clapping, then Tommy Wilson, then Keisha Davis, then the whole room. Standing ovation, 200 people on their feet, many crying. Jalen and Lily in the front row holding a handmade sign, Harold plus Monique equals heroes, after the meeting. People crowded around Harold, shaking hands, congratulating. Lily pulled his sleeve. Mr. Harold, will you make chocolate smiley faces for everyone at the new center? Harold laughed. Of course, but I'll need helpers. Me? Lily raised her hand. And Jalen! Jalen appeared beside her. Obviously, Team Marshmallow. The two kids high-fived. Eleanor stood near Harold, watching. Lily hasn't had a real friend since the accident. Until Jalen. Jalen either. Since losing Monique, he hasn't opened up to anyone. Maybe they need each other. Maybe all of us need each other. Eleanor nodded. That's exactly what Monique would say. 1 year later, Millbrook was unrecognizable. And it all started with, can I sit here? Construction. Months 1 to 6. Time-lapse. Empty lot in downtown Millbrook transforming. January. Groundbreaking. Tommy Wilson stood there in new work clothes, hired as construction site manager. His first job in 2 years. March. Steel frames rising. Local workers, many formerly unemployed, on site every day. May. Walls completed. A large banner hung on the fence. The Monique Griffin Community Center, where kindness builds community. Below the banner, smaller text in Jalen's handwriting, started with the best seat in the house. Opening day, December, grand opening, light snow falling, ribbon cutting. Eleanor and Harold holding scissors, Lily and Jalen standing between them. Ribbon cut, thunderous applause. The prosthetic clinic. 35 children received free prosthetics in the first month. Lily cut the clinic's ribbon. Beside her, a 6-year-old boy receiving his first prosthetic arm. The boy hugged Lily. "Now I'm like you, big sister." Small business program. 12 people received funding and business coaching. Keisha Davis, the single mom who used to split muffins, now owned Split the Love Catering. Mrs. Patterson's niece opened Patterson's Sweet Corner Bakery, Jalen's Kitchen. Cooking class. 30 kids learning to cook every week. Jalen Griffin, 11, as teaching assistant, showing the kids how to make chocolate smiley faces. Every class ended with a question. What kind thing will you do for someone today? Media attention. The story spread. Local newspaper. Millbrook Revival, how one act of kindness changed everything. Regional TV, 10-minute feature on Harold and the Center. Social media. Video of Harold and Lily went viral. 50 million views. Comments flooded in. "I'm crying so hard." "The world needs more Harolds." "You deserve the best seat." "I'm telling my kids this every day." CNN. Heroes, Harold nominated for Hero of the Year. The award ceremony. Big stage. New York City. Harold in a suit. First time in his life. MC. Mr. Griffin, your story has touched millions. What advice do you have for our audience? Harold, still uncomfortable before cameras, thought for a moment. Don't underestimate the power of simple words. A little girl asked me, "Can I sit here?" I just answered, "You deserve the best seat." 12 words, 5 seconds. But those 12 words changed her, changed me, changed an entire town. You don't need to be a billionaire to change the world. You just need to see people and let them know they matter. Today, find someone the world has turned away from and give them the best seat you have. The audience rose to their feet, clapping. In the front row, Eleanor, Lily, Jalen, holding a sign, Harold #1. 2 years later, on another rainy day, history repeated itself, but with new characters. Rainy Saturday. 2 years later. The Monique Griffin Community Center. Saturday afternoon. Rain pouring. Just like that day. The ground floor cafe was packed. Jalen Griffin, 12 years old, stood behind the counter, apron on, chocolate stains, confident smile. The door opened. Wind and rain rushed in. A little boy walked in, about 8 years old, black, thin clothes, soaking wet. His right arm was missing below the elbow. The boy stood at the door, shivering, eyes frightened. Looking around, every seat taken. Jalen saw him, started to step forward, but someone was faster. Lily Harrington, 10 years old now, silver prosthetic leg gleaming. She walked straight to the boy. "Hey, little guy, are you okay?" The boy looked up. I lost my mom." "It's okay. You're safe here." Lily smiled. "Want some hot chocolate? It has a smiley face." The boy looked at Lily, looked at her prosthetic leg. You're also different like you?" Lily laughed. "Yeah, everyone here is a little different. That's what makes it awesome." She extended her hand. "Come with me. I've got the best seat for you." The boy put his tiny hand into Lily's, and he smiled. For the first time that day, Harold stood in his office doorway, watching Lily lead the boy to the table by the fireplace. Eleanor walked up beside him. "She's doing exactly what you did. She's doing what her mom would have done, what Monique did. Eleanor nodded. 3 generations. Monique, then you, then Lily and Jalen. Not 3 generations, Harold smiled. Infinite generations, because everyone they help will help someone else. On and on. Jalen brought chocolate to the boy, with a marshmallow smiley face. The boy looked down, eyes lighting up, smiling. Harold looked at Monique's photo on the wall, beside the words, "Kindness is the only thing that multiplies when you give it away." Monique Griffin. "You see, baby," he whispered. "We're still going. Every chocolate, every best seat, every day." A new photo hung on the cafe wall. Lily, Jalen, and the new little boy, all holding chocolate cups, all smiling, all with marshmallow mustaches. Below the photo, Jalen's handwriting. "Mom, I'm continuing what you started. Every smiley face, every best seat. I love you." Harold Griffin had no money, no power, nothing special, by the world's standards. But when a little girl, soaking wet, asked, "Can I sit here?" he didn't say no like everyone else. He said, "You deserve the best seat." 12 words, 5 seconds, and the whole world cried. Today, someone out there is waiting for you. They don't need you to be a billionaire. They don't need you to be perfect. They just need you to see them and tell them they matter. It could be a bullied child, a lonely elderly person, a struggling coworker, a stranger on the street. Find them. Say, "You deserve the best." Now I ask you, who will you give your best seat to today? Tell me in the comments. Like if this story touched your heart. Share with someone who needs to hear this. And subscribe. Because the world needs more Harolds. The world needs more you.